are tuned in to New Starz with Neil Clark playing the up-and-coming artists first. Hear their stories before anyone else.
Coming up on today's show.
Wake up, late bloomer, already early. King Kong, King Kong, King Kong, King Kong. It's a hell of a day. I can't believe that it could start out this way.
Hello, I'm Neil Clark and welcome to my New Starz show. Now, you all know from time to time a celebrity has appeared on my show, whether it be Sean Smith from X Factor, the 1990s Queen of Rave Rosella, or the well-known David Nathan, who wrote about Aretha Franklin and assisted with the production of the Aretha's box set. Now, today is going to be one of those shows you didn't expect to hear. That's right. I'm talking to a musician who has crossed paths with the likes of Hendrix, Ringo, Nilsson, the Turtles, Little Richard, Dr. John, Seals and Crofts, Billy Bob Thornton, Ray Bolger, Grace Slick, and many more. Now we're going to be hearing some very interesting stories, like why Chubby Checker was chasing my guest around a hotel lobby, and which soft rock duo took my guest's advice to change their name, leading them to great success. And loads more stories will be coming up in this hour. Now, my guest is the most famous musician you have never heard of. So here he is, Andy Cahan. Welcome to the show, Andy.
I am so pleased to be here, Neil. That's wonderful.
Let's get cracking straight into this, because you are just a whole book of loveliness, really, because you're born in 1947 in New Rochelle, New York. You were born to make music. So tell me about your family and growing up around music.
Well, I always loved classical music. When I was 12 and 13 years old, I would make monster movies with my 8mm camera and a Kodak sound projector and a Wallensack tape recorder. And I made movies with my neighborhood friends, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Revenge from Planet 4, all these wonderful movies. And I would use like The Rite of Spring or a New World Symphony or De Meistersinger, or, you know, all these wonderful classical pieces as the music for my movies. So I really loved music at an early age. And my father actually sat me down at the piano and taught me how to play the Snake Charmers song. That's the one that goes ba 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 ba. Anyway, so he taught me how to play rhythm and lead with my left hand and my right hand and alternating. So that was my only piano lesson. And you know, of course, I was extremely influenced by Del Shannon, who had the hit song Runaway. And I taught myself how to play the organ solo on that. So that was all at a very early age.
Wow. So you suddenly started to make a name for yourself. So how did that actually start?
Oh, well, let's see. Because the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan, I decided I wanted to become a Beatle. So, you know, I permastrated my hair to make it look like a Beatle haircut. And of course, it worked really good for about an hour, and then it all frizzled up. But anyway, all my high school buddies and I, we started a band called the Individuals, and we would play at all the colleges and universities and yacht clubs and everything around New Rochelle, New York. And we won all of the Battle of the Bands. You know, we were very popular. And one of the songs that we recorded was recorded in New York City at A&R Studios, which was owned by Roy Cicala. Now, Roy Cicala later started the record plant. and he recorded everybody from, John Lennon to Jimi Hendrix to everybody. So I was fortunate enough at 15 years old to record an instrumental song called She's Gone Away. And later on in the 80s, Moxie Records and Bomp Records released it as a garage band hit. And I became an underground garage band hero. My name was Johnny Farfisa because I used the Farfisa organ. And so David Gibson of Moxie Records, instead of calling me Andy Cahan, he decided to name me Johnny Farfisa. And that's my little claim to fame from the early 60s.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Let's take a listen to one of your songs called Late Bloomer. Before we play it, tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, it's the only song, one of the only songs I wrote that doesn't include love. I mean, most of my songs, it's always about love and girls and love and all that. But I just created this wonderful piano part, and I decided to write a song about a late bloomer. Something inspired me. So it really came out really terrific. I'm playing all the music on a Insonic Performance Sampler sequencer, a synthesizer, and my friend Steve Diaro is singing all of the vocals. And it's done really well. It's got like 31,000 hits on YouTube, and it's on Spotify and Pandora and iTunes and all that.
And now new
But
songs.
it's really a great song. Yeah, it's really a great song. I love it. It's one of my favorite songs. Totally.
Well, let's hear it now. We're going to play Late Bloomer, and it's well known, as Andy said, and it's here on this show. You're going to love it.
Wake up, late bloomer. Nobody knows you're around. It's time, late bloomer. You are nowhere to be found. Oh yeah, late bloomer. Nobody knows you're alive. Come on, late bloomer. You could do more than survive. No one to hear you say.
Late Bloomer. This is New Star's show with me, Neil Clark, and Andy Cahan. You quickly realised that your calling was not to be a famous frontman, but to be the glue that holds bands and performances together. So when did you realise that? And did it bother you not being a famous frontman?
You know, it didn't really bother me. I was very fortunate that I met so many wonderful icons in the world of music. I mean, when I look at the index from my book, I freak out because there's so many names of these gigantic stars that I've hung out with and recorded with and toured with. It's really an amazing thing that I saved all of my archives, all the calendars from the early 60s and the contracts and the postcards and letters and photographs and vinyl and tape. It's made it really easy for me to build this book. And, in 1968, when I moved to New York, 2 weeks after I arrived here, I was working for Mercury Records. They had a subsidiary called Pulsar Records. And Graham Bond was one of the artists on the label, and so was Dr. John the Night Tripper. So I was invited to a recording session with Graham Bond. And, Mitch Mitchell, Jack Cassidy from the Jefferson Airplane, Lowell George of Little Feat, Graham Bond, and I was playing the electric harpsichord, and it was going through a Hammond Leslie speaker. But in walks Jimi Hendrix with two girls, one carrying his amplifier and the other one carrying his guitar. And we recorded for a couple of hours, and he sat down right next to me, and the veins were popping out of his neck, and he was completely mind-blowing. I had goosebumps for the whole session. It was quite amazing.
Well, you have many stories which are mentioned in your book, The Most Famous Musician You Have Never Heard Of. Without giving too much away, one of those stories is Chubby Checker chasing you around the hotel lobby and advising a soft rock duo to change their name. So tell us about these, can we call them incidents?
Yeah. When I was performing with Flo and Eddie and the Turtles, we would do all these Las Vegas hotels and clubs. We played this one venue, I forgot the name, and Felix Cavalieri from the Young Rascals and Chubby Checker and the Turtles, we all played this show together. And, we did really good. It was a sold out audience. So the next morning in the lobby, we were all lined up to check out of our rooms. And Chubby Checker was at the end of the hallway with his mother sitting in a wheelchair. So his mother was there, Chubby was there, and I'm standing at the counter. So I look at Chubby, and he looks at me and turns on this maniacal grin, like the Cheshire Cat. And he just looked really strange. And he looks at me, and then he starts charging with his mother in the wheelchair at full speed down the hallway, aiming directly at me. So he came right next to me, and I jumped out of the way, and his mother was laughing, and Chubby was laughing. So he tried to run me over with his mother at the checkout counter at the hotel. So that was my encounter with Chubby Checker. He was so hilarious. What a great guy. And the other encounter I played with Jimmy Seals and Dash Crofts in a group called the Mushrooms.
Right.
And we were playing top 40 in Los Angeles. And, Jimmy Seals would play the saxophone and Dash would play the drums. And I was on the organ and there was a bass player and a guitar player. And we'd play these top 40 gigs. And then in between the sets, when we took a break, Jimmy would pick up the acoustic guitar and Dash would get his mandolin, and they would get up on stage and do this duo of all this material that Jimmy wrote. And so they belonged to the Baha'i religion. It's like a melting pot religion. It's the combination of all religions in one. So we're sitting at the table, and Jimmy says to me, Andy, we're trying to think of a name for our duo because, we're Baha'is and we believe in the Baha'i faith. How about if we use the name Baha'u'llah? And Baha'u'llah was the leader of the Baha'is. So I looked at him and I said, Jimmy, Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, Tom and Jerry, how about Seals and Crofts? And they both looked at me and they went, okay, let's do it. So I actually thought of the name Seals and Crofts.
That's amazing. You seem
Yeah.
to have rubbed shoulders with so many famous artists, and I'd imagine you've seen them come and go. What has been your most highlights, your most biggest celebrity that you've actually worked with?
Well, Little Richard was the most exciting, impressive, amazing artist ever. I mean, ever. Incredible. I toured with him around the United States and Australia and New Zealand. And he was like the most amazing guy I've ever met in my life. When he gets on that stage and he goes crazy, and his voice was the best ever, and his energy level was through the ceiling. The guy was just completely amazing. So one of my highlights in my life, we did the Grammys, and it was Chuck Berry and Little Richard and myself. I was hired as the music director for the Grammys for the Little Richard Chuck Berry segment. And so our rehearsal was in a little tiny room with an upright piano, and Chuck brought his guitar, and Little Richard just stood there, and we rehearsed all of their hit records, so I can make notes for the band, what keys, and, the chart. So it was amazing. I mean, the guy who ran the Grammys, his name was I forgot his name. Never mind. But anyhow, he hired me to run this Little Richard Chuck Berry segment. So instead of singing Tutti Frutti Aw Rudy, Little Richard would sing Al Green, He's Clean. So they changed all the lyrics to their hit records to the nominees' names. Barry White, Stevie Wonder, all these different artists. And Stevie Wonder actually won the award for Ain't Too Superstitious. But just being in that room and rehearsing with Little Richard and Chuck Berry, that was like the top thing I've ever done. Because the Beatles idolized Little Richard and Chuck Berry. Paul loved Richard and John loved Chuck. So here I am, full circle, with Little Richard and Chuck Berry in this room rehearsing their hit records.
Wow.
So to me, that was absolutely incredible.
Let's take another break and play your next fabulous little ditty called Chikan Kong.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
Well, when I was touring with Dr. John the Night Tripper, he would always make up sounds and words like snake a la gree gree, kalimbo, kalimbo. And he'd use all these crazy words in his songs. So I'm sitting at the top of the Hollywood mountain where the Hollywood sign is, and it was cloudy and it was smoggy. So I started, I made up this phrase, chikang kong, like a rhythm thing. Chikang kong. And then I wrote the lyrics, the clouds have come to cover the earth. The skies come to witness the birth of a man who is all alone within a world of his own. And I was 20 years old when I wrote that. And later on, I recorded it with a really wonderful drummer, Maury Baker, who was with Tim Buckley and Judy Collins and Frank Zappa and Janis Joplin. And he was in that band called Ars Nova. Anyway, so he played timpani and drums. So instead of a regular tom-tom, he would have his timpani drums to play the boom, boom, And a wonderful singer by the name of Ezra Mohawk is singing with me on the song. And she wrote a hit for Cyndi Lauper. I think it's called Colors or one of the others. I can't remember the title. Yeah. So we recorded this wonderful track with the bass player Tom Levy, and it's really one of my favorite tracks. And Maury does an incredible job on the drums on this. So I hope you enjoy listening to it. Chikang Kong.
Clouds have come to cover the earth. Chikang Kong, Chikang Kong, Chikang Kong, Chikang Kong. The sky has come to witness the birth of a man who is seen alone within a world of his own. Sea will flow over my dreams of life. While the sun shines bright, caressing my home of a man who is seen alone within his home. Clouds have come to cover the earth. The sky has come to witness the birth. Sea will flow over my dreams of life. While the sun shines bright, caressing my home of a man who is seen alone.
That was Chikang Kong. I'm with the famous man that you've never heard of before, and he laughs, but he's very famous, and his name is Andy Cahan. And I want to say thank you for coming onto the show, Andy. You quickly made a name for yourself as the single-handed wrecking crew and the go-to guy. So, firstly, what is a wrecking crew? Because that sounds like Demolition Derby to me. And how did you feel suddenly being in demand by all these people?
Well, the Wrecking Crew is a bunch of incredible musicians, Hal Blaine and Leon Russell and tons of Tommy Tedesco. These are all Los Angeles musicians that were hired on everybody's hit record, from the Monkees to Sonny and Cher to the Temptations, Four Tops, Beach Boys, all the hit records. It's all these same musicians. But my claim is that I've played with tons of famous musicians as a sideman, with the Turtles, with Little Richard and Chuck Berry. And I've recorded 35 songs in my living room with Harry Nilsson. And that was right up there with the most amazing time of my life, because through Harry, I got to meet Ringo Starr. Actually, Harry brought Ringo over to my house, and we recorded some children's stories. And I met Joe Walsh and Timothy Leary and, tons of great celebrities through Harry. And that was definitely a highlight of my life, going over to Ringo's house and picking up a guitar and singing Don't Pass Me By with Ringo and Harry. I mean, that's like amazing history to me. In fact, my book is like a history book, because every page you turn, it's another celebrity and another incident. So it's really a lot of fun. And when I was a kid and I went to school, I really didn't like reading. It wasn't fun to me. I had to read All Quiet on the Western Front and The Scarlet Letter and of Mice and Men and all these books. And I really liked to look at picture books. I didn't like to read. I'd like to look at pictures. So that's why I built my book as a coffee table picture book, because I have thousands of pictures of celebrities that you never met before. That you haven't seen before. So it's really quite a great book. I love it.
How do you feel when you're meeting these big celebrities? I said to you in the break that this seems quite surreal for me, because you are a celebrity, you are famous, but it seems like I'm just talking to another artist. Is that the same? Is that the same thing that you feel? It's like, oh, you're just another guy, you're just another band, you're just another singer. There's nothing really big about you. You're no different to me, but you're just a celebrity. Is that the way it goes?
It's really amazing. Ringo and Harry and Joe Walsh and Timothy Leary and Ray Bolger and Billy Bob Thornton and all these amazing people. They're very down to earth. They're really normal people, and you forget that you're talking to a celebrity. You're sitting there at the airport with Little Richard and smoking a cigarette and talking, and it's an amazing thing. I am a starstruck guy. I love meeting celebrities, but I don't act like an idiot most of the time. I'm pretty normal. And but there are incidents when I pissed off celebrities.
Oh dear, yeah.
Like I was in an elevator with Richard Dreyfuss, and at a certain age I kind of looked like him. So I'm standing in the elevator with Richard Dreyfuss, and it says, "Hey, all my friends say I look like you." And then he gave me dagger eyes, and he looked down at the floor and stormed out of the elevator. So I picked him off. And, there's certain things, like Jeff Goldblum, the actor. I was doing a book signing thing with my friend Robert Florzak, who does children's books. And Jeff was reading the book to all these kids. And ironically, my friend Bruce Gary from the Knack. He was the drummer from the Knack, My Sharona. Anyway, so Bruce Gary looks like Jeff Goldblum. And I went up to Jeff, and I was a little bit stoned from smoking. And I said, "Hey, Bruce, how's it going?" And he just hit the ceiling. He says, "My name is not Bruce." And he stormed away. So, I've had a couple of encounters where I picked off celebrities, but most of the time, it's been absolutely amazing, hanging out with Grace Slick or Michelle Phillips or, Solar Dad O'Brien. Do you know who she is?
No. Should I?
Yeah, she's popular in the United States. She's a news anchor.
Oh, right,
Anyway,
okay. No, I wouldn't know that then. So, phew.
Yeah, so anyway, there's so many different encounters in my book with all these amazing people. It's really a lot of fun to read, and there's tons of pictures that really makes it really a lot of fun.
Well, you've had such an interesting life. You really have. How does the music industry compared between the 60s and today?
Well, today I really don't understand how anybody makes any money with record sales or downloads. Back in the 60s, we had vinyl records and tapes and stuff. And when you sold 100 records, you sold 100 records. You can actually count them, and you can hold it in your hand, and it's a real record. But today, it's all download. And I'm very frightened of that, because how are you going to trust a computer and a guy sitting at a computer tabulating your airplay? It's just, I can't understand that. I don't understand how you make money on that, because, like, for instance, with Late Bloomer, I got 31,000 views, but, I probably got like $1 or something from the YouTube money thing. So it's so weird. In the olden days, you had tangible product that you can hold in your hand. Today, it's all download, and I'm scared of it. I don't understand how people make money doing that. It's crazy.
Do you think then that the way that the music industry is going then is not for the better?
Yeah, another thing is hip hop and rap and some other music that's out. They use programming. They program it all with drum machines and stuff. And I always loved real musicians playing, and analog tape. Digital is good for post-production, but the actual recording should be analog because it's warm and rich. And so I always liked live music with real musicians instead of programmed music, Although I did that for 12 years as the demo doctor, I programmed music. But my true love is live music and rock and roll. I'm classic rock. I'm a British invasion guy. I love the Zombies and the Kinks and the Beau Brummels and the Dave Clark Five and the Beatles and the Animals and, all the wonderful British invasion. That is my love. That's the kind of music that I love the most.
Well, talking about being Dr. Demo, you're giving artists help with their demos. So what is all that about?
Well, a lot of my clients were singer-songwriters aspiring. They were just starting out and they wanted to make a demo. So I would literally program the music to what they wanted. So the drums, guitars, bass, keyboards, all that, they would try to show me how their song went.
Yeah.
And I would program it. And then if they sang out of tune or if their guitar playing wasn't perfect, I would edit it on Pro Tools and put it in, pitch their voice into tune and adjust the rhythm so it was all in tempo. And so I did that for 12 years. And, Harry Nilsson, Ringo Starr, Jimmy Webb, Eric Carmen, a lot of celebrities recorded with me. It was all in my living room. And so I was very popular for a while. And then everybody decided to go to the music store and buy their own little Pro Tools and recording stuff. And so my demo doctor business kind of fell apart then. And but it lasted for 12 years. It was really great. I did well.
Wow. So it just goes to show that you can do anything you like from the comfort of your own home, even editing your own music. Absolutely fantastic. It's time for another break.
Okay.
And next up, we're going to be playing Hell of a Day.
Oh, I love this.
You love this one? Shall we talk about it afterwards?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's spin the record. Hell of a Day. And we certainly have some of those, don't we?
It's a hell of a day. I can't believe that it could start out this way. Some other day it might have been alright to stay alone. Like a hot summer day, I wait till dark and wonder where did love go. I'm feeling low. It wasn't always like this. I miss her so. Rolling away into a memory. Maybe she will come back to me. Dreaming and hoping someone will rescue me. If only she would come back to me. I'm waiting here, just waiting here. Baby, come back to me. I'm waiting here, baby, for you. It's a hell of a day. I can't believe my eyes. That's her standing and calling me. What can I say? It turned out great. She's back home to stay. I was rolling away into a memory. Maybe she would come back to me. Dreaming and hoping someone would rescue me. Now that she has come back to me, it's very clear she's staying here. My baby's come back to me, laying here right beside me. It's a hell of a day, yeah. It's a hell of a day, yeah. It's a hell of a
Welcome back. Hell of a Day. Andy Cahan is with me. And Andy, tell us about that song.
Oh, yeah, that one was total rock and roll. The drummer, Jimmy Hunter, played with Ray Manzarek and the Turtles and stuff. Really good drummer. I recorded the basic tracks in the same studio that Elvis Presley and Sam Cooke used.
Wow.
With ribbon microphones and tube amplifiers. It was like a 4-track studio. And so I recorded the basic tracks with the drums and piano and bass. And then I brought it to another studio called Mad Dog Studios that my friends Mark Avnet and Dusty Wakeman, they were the owners of the studio. So I had Mark sing it because he had a really great high voice. So he sang the lead and Dusty and Mark sang all the backgrounds. And then in the middle of the song, in the bridge, I decided to do backwards hand claps.
Wow.
Just, like how the Beatles reversed some of the guitar solos, like on When I Wake Up in the Early in the Morning with I'm Still Sleeping, whatever. But it was a lot of fun recording that song, and it's really a great song, and Mark did an excellent job of singing.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
So what else can we expect to read in your book?
Oh, well, there's all kinds of funny stories. Like I was on a tour for Epic Records. It was with Michael Fennelly. Michael Fennelly used to be in a group called Krabby Appleton, and they had some hits. Anyway, so on the tour was Sha-Na Na, Dave Loggins, who did that song, Please Come to Boston, and King Biscuit, and Michael Fennelly, and there was one other group, I can't remember who it was. But we're sitting on an airplane getting ready to take off to fly to Spokane, Washington. And the pilot gets on the PA system and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, our front wheels are broken and we cannot fly. We're going to have to sit on the ground for a couple of hours while they fix our wheels." So he opened up the pilot's door, the cockpit, and he said, "Free drinks for everybody." So, we were all drunk. We're all sitting on this plane for 2 hours. So King Biscuit had a straw hat, and he says, "Okay, I'm passing around the hat for a streaker." Because David Niven was streaked on the award show just previously. You remember that incident when David Niven was streaked?
Yes.
Okay, so King Biscuit passed around the hat around the airplane, and there was $300 in this hat in 1975 or what year it was, and I had to pay the automobile payment on my Mercedes. So I grabbed the money out of the hat and ran back to the bathroom and took off all of my clothes and opened up the door and I yelled, "Are you all ready?" And the whole airplane goes, "Yeah!" So I run down the aisle naked and turn around and run back to the bathroom again and made my $300 for streaking on an airplane. It's stuff like that really makes the book interesting.
Yeah, that also sort of claims you to fame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where can we get hold of your book, Andy?
Well, it's really great because I self-published it on Amazon. And if you Google, the most famous musician you never heard of, it'll pop right up immediately. And you'll hear the little girl's voice go, "Andy Cahan is truly the most famous musician you never heard of." And you can read an excerpt from my book that my editor, Jeff Tamarkin, put together. It was the chapter with Harry Nilsson and Ringo Starr and Joe Walsh and Timothy Leary. So it's a really great chapter. And so if you Google the most famous musician you never heard of, it'll come right up on your search. And that's the easiest way to find out how to get the book. It gives you an option in this article to contact me directly through email, or you can buy it from Amazon. It's much better to buy it from me because I autograph it and I sell it cheaper than Amazon. But other than that, it's been doing very, very well. I've received, dozens of 5-star reviews, and several rock and roll magazines have given me really good reviews. It's just a really fun book.
So let's put you on the spotlight a little bit here, Andy.
Okay.
If you could perform with any living artist who you haven't met, who would it be and why?
Well, I did meet Paul McCartney, but I still would love to be in his band. I mean, he has the only show that I've ever seen that is like the record. A lot of artists do live shows, but they don't do it like the record. You know, they make a different arrangement. Eric Burden is noted for that. He never does a song the same twice. He changes it around all the time. But Paul McCartney's show is absolutely amazing. So he would be my first choice.
Okay.
For sure.
So who'd be your second choice then?
Oh, Ringo. I mean, I am a musician because of the Beatles, period. Yeah. I mean, they literally turned me into a musician. You know, listening to their music, you know, I taught myself how to play drums, listening to Ringo's drumming. And the chord progressions and melodies and lyrics that Lennon and McCartney did were way, way advanced to anything else. And, you know, I taught myself how to write, you know, songs with flatted fifths and minor thirds and all these great chord progressions. So those are the two guys I would love to play with.
What's next for Andy Cahan?
Well, I really want to do a book tour, a book signing tour. I want to go to Australia and Europe and the United States. I really don't have any desire to go to Egypt or South Africa, but I really loved Australia and New Zealand. I was there 3 times, twice with the Turtles and once with Little Richard. And I have a band here that we have a trio, and I would love to do a book signing tour and play the music from the book. So all these great songs that I played on in the book, I'll be playing live.
Wow.
Like there's a song that Harry Nilsson and I recorded called Me, Myself, and I. Uh-huh. And it's the soundtrack title to a movie called Me, Myself, and I, with Jo Beth Williams and George Segal. So I would do that song. And, you know, all the other songs, like a Little Richard song, a Chuck Berry song, a Turtles song, you know, and I would put that in my show and have like a question and answer thing about the book.
Oh, an audience with Andy Cahan. How about that?
Yeah. And the greatest thing about it is all you have to do is look at the index. Just open the index and pick a name. And I can tell a whole story just about that one name. So it's really, really a fun book. It really is.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Do you know what, Andy? I could talk to you all day. I really could. But unfortunately, the sands of time have run out.
All right.
It's been a real pleasure having you on my show, and I'm really glad and appreciate Vesey Mink, a mutual connection to bring us together. Andy Cahan, you are a new star. Now, I'm going to play out with your last track called She's Gone Away, the instrumental.
Right.
Now, that has a vibe like the Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Right. But I think he heard my song.
Yes.
It came out in 1965 is when I recorded it, 1965.
It has a very, very similar tone to the Austin Powers, and that's probably true. He's robbed it from you.
Right.
Sue that man. Listen, if you've missed out on any of this show, don't worry, because you can catch up with Andy Cahan and all my other guests on tinyurl.com/New Stars show. That's stars with a Z. It leaves me one thing to say. Take care. Be kind to one another. From myself, Neil Clark, and my special guest, Andy Cahan. Say goodbye, Andy.
Goodbye, everybody. Can't wait to show you my book.
Goodbye.